Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Football Overseas YouTube channel. Here we have another round of English Football League Championship predictions. It's the third game in a week for our teams. It's one of those busy pre-Christmas Championship weeks. So there have been 9 points available this week, and the teams that have a chance of picking up all 9 are Leeds and Blackburn, quickly looking down, and surprisingly Queen's Park Rangers have had a good week so far. So those are the 3 teams that have the chance of picking up the maximum. That really does have an impact on your league position, of course, to pick up 9 points in a week. So we'll have a quick review of what happened midweek, and then we'll get stuck into the fixtures across Friday, Saturday, Sunday this coming weekend. So we still have at the top, no real change at the top. Sheffield United up there with 42 points, Leeds 41 points. They're the top 2, and there's a 3-point gap to Burnley. And then Burnley and Sunderland are vying for 3rd and 4th at the moment. And then Blackburn, who've come into the picture quite strongly with 5 wins on the trot. So they're in a good Richard vein of form. So we'll look at who they're playing this weekend shortly. A little bit of change down at the bottom. Hull are bottom, but they did pick up a valuable point under Ruben Selles, their first point for him. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Portsmouth picked up another valuable home point. They're on a bit of a... they're really getting a solid set of results at the moment. That's 2 good home performances against Bristol City and Norwich. No goals conceded, 4 points picked up. So their fans are in happy voice at the moment. And they're outside the bottom 3, so it's looking like it could be a Merry Christmas for them after starting the season so slowly. And then we have in the bottom 3 now, Plymouth are still there. They're on 17 points. They're really in the slump because the home form is now slipping away as well. So they're really nosediving and they're a tailspin at the moment. And Cardiff City have dropped into the bottom 3, having just confirmed Omar Rizzo into the post to the end of the season only a week or so ago. So pressure on everybody down at the bottom, of course, and it is still pretty tight. But there's a few teams nosediving towards it that haven't really been mentioned too much in the bottom region before. So we'll talk about that as we go through. So that's where we are after the 2 matches this week so far. We're going into the weekend. Hopefully the weather is much better this weekend and there's no gale force winds and God knows what else to disrupt matches. So we start on Friday the 13th. So hopefully either of these teams are superstitious, but it's Derby County against Portsmouth. So 2 promoted sides with different sort of veins, sort of a run of results at the moment. Derby are, as I say, one of the sides that are starting to slip into the area of the table they haven't been in really so far this season. No win in 6 in their last 6. And they have had 3 draws and 3 losses to make that. As I say, Portsmouth, a solid set of results recently. Two good results against mid-table teams at the weekend and midweek. So they've had 2 good home performances, sent the home fans home happy twice. They probably could have been a bit luckier on Tuesday, but I think a draw was a fair result, from what I understand. So, Derby County and Portsmouth. I think it's on TV Friday night to kick us off. I think there won't be much in it, and I'm going to take a draw here. I think Derby County 1, Portsmouth 1. That takes us into the Saturday lunchtime matches, the first of which is Bristol City against Queen's Park Rangers. Now, as I say, as a Bristol City fan, well, you just don't know what you're going to get from match to match, which is frustrating, really, for everybody concerned. They had that terrible result for them down at Portsmouth last week, and then they go and almost topple Sunderland, who hadn't been beaten at home all season. So what can you make of them? Well, I just don't know. They were hanging on 1-0 and very unfortunately let a goal in injury time. But there we go, it's stoppage time. And Queen's Park Rangers are having this mini revival, more than a mini revival. It's a 5-game unbeaten run, which they've won 3 and drawn 2. And really, they were looking very sorry for themselves only a few weeks ago. And now they've pulled away, 4 points clear of the relegation zone. And I'm sure every single QPR fan you'd have spoken to would have bought that to be the position on the going into the mid-December weekend. So I think it'll be a tough game for both sides, really. And I can't see again. I'm sitting on the fence a bit in these first 2 matches. I'm going to say it's going to be Bristol City 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1, with QPR extending their really good run of late. Then we go to Coventry with Frank Lampard tasting defeat for the first time. in midweek, losing 2-0 to West Brom has no disgrace in that, but he'll be disappointed, I'm sure. And Hull City getting their first point for a while under Ruben Selles. So although they stay bottom, a little bit of glimmer of hope for them, and not least because they got a goal as well. So a decent 1-1 draw against Watford. They were 1-0 up though as well, Hull. So they really did give it a go. But I think here Coventry will be revitalised a little bit for this home match. It's one they would pick out to win. They don't want to slide into the bottom area. They're on 21 points, just comfortably above it at the moment. But as I say, it is tight. So I'm going to take Coventry to win that one narrowly by 2-1. That takes us into a Lancashire-Yorkshire affair. Preston North End against Leeds United. Now, Preston have had a tidy little pickup of late. Looking at their results, so okay, 4 draws and a win, but they did go for a win and not a loss after that bank of draws. I think that's always important to do. So they're finding themselves 14th, 10 draws on the board now. They are the draw specialists along with West Brom on 11. So I think, but I don't think this will be a draw. I think Leeds will be too strong. Leeds, just as I keep saying, almost match by match at the moment, just doing what they need to do. They haven't quite got the better of Sheffield United at the top yet, but they had a very good 3-1 win at home to Middlesbrough, because Middlesbrough have been showing some real good signs of form, and I think Leeds will just continue this on Saturday. So I'm going to go Preston North End 0, Leeds United 2. Into Saturday afternoon we go, and it's Blackburn Rovers against Luton. And Blackburn, as I say, are one of the 2 teams, along with Leeds, who can get this coveted 9 points in a week result scenario. So they have won 5 on the trot. I think they'll make it 6 against Luton, who have flattered to deceive a little bit of late. Couple of losses and a draw. Then they picked up the win against Stoke in midweek. So, but I still think Blackburn, high flying. They will, if they're going to have any impression on those top places, they've got to pick up the 3 points against Luton, who are struggling. Probably weren't expected to be, but they are struggling in the bottom half of the table. So I'm going to take Blackburn to continue this good run. It's Blackburn 3, Luton Town 1. Then we have Middlesbrough, as I say, have been showing really good signs generally lately, but they did slip up against Leeds, who most teams have this season, to be fair, and Millwall. Now, here's an interesting story about Millwall. Neil Harris, who's done so well for them since he returned at sort of back end of last season when they were on that terrible run and kept them up, is going to leave the club, but not until after this match. They announced it earlier in the week. I think prior to the loss to Sheffield United, which they did lose 1-0. And I'm not quite sure what's happened here, so I'm not going to make any guesses, other than to say he did make some interesting quotes, which were a bit derogatory to the fans last week. And I don't know if it's anything to do with that at all, but he is now leaving the club after the match on Saturday at Middlesbrough. So, and I'm not sure that's the right. I never get these situations where the manager's leaving in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or whatever. It's a difficult one for players, isn't it? But that's the situation that Millwall have gone into, and they want to go in a different direction or something. Was the usual phrase that these clubs spiel out. Middlesbrough, I think, will take advantage of Millwall's sort of mishap at the moment and just run out comfortable winners. I'm going to go Middlesbrough 3, Millwall 0. Now, here's a side on the slide. Oxford United, and they're home to Sheffield Wednesday. Oxford have been really made a bit of an impression, didn't they, at the start of the campaign? And now they are only a point away from being in the bottom 3. 4 losses out of the last 5, with a draw sandwiched in the middle of that. And it was their home form that was propping them up a little bit early on. But they were showing signs, home and away, of being able to cope with life in the Championship, but it's just going a little bit wrong at the moment, as I suppose all the 3 promoted sides have found at times, and they're getting good and bad runs at different times between them. Anyway, Oxford are home, so they really need to get that home form back on track, but I think Sheffield Wednesday, who again themselves have have done okay of late. Just the one defeat, which was last time out, in fact. But it was against Blackburn, high-flying Blackburn at the moment, the form team, one of the form teams in the division as we speak. So it wasn't only it was only by the odd goal as well. So I think Sheffield Wednesday will look back on those previous Bank of Four matches, 2 wins, 2 draws, go to Oxford, who are struggling, and I think they'll take the points. So I'm going to go Oxford United 1, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Then we have the other Sheffield, the neighbours, noisy neighbours, are they? Who knows? Sheffield United against Plymouth Argyle. Well, Plymouth Argyle's noise has certainly gone down at the moment. Second from bottom, no win in the last 5, 3 losses on the trot, including home defeats now coming through, and that really can't be the case because their away form is so poor. They've let in 40 goals in 19 matches. They have a minus 20. All the stats are really up against Plymouth. Completely lost their way at the moment. So Wayne Rooney has to work his magic somehow. But I think it's going to be a really tough afternoon in Sheffield. Sheffield United, they just are, as I say, top of the league, looking good, scoring goals. Perhaps they're not scoring as many as they would like, but I think they'll score a few against Plymouth. I think just when Plymouth seems to concede an away goal, it just seems to be a pack of cards that follows. So I'm going to go Sheffield United 4, Plymouth 0. I don't see any joy for them up there at all. Then we have two sides that sort of looking over their shoulder once again. Stoke City had that bit of a perk up, didn't they? Beat Portsmouth 6-1 and had a couple of other decent results, but it's not going well again at the moment. They lost to Luton, which will they be disappointed about, and Cardiff lost at home to Preston. So Cardiff are the team now that seem to be making their way out of the bottom difficulties, and now they're right back in it, in the bottom 3, along with Plymouth and Hull. And it's Cardiff that have now, they haven't won in any of their last 6, 4 losses in that time. Home form all gone a bit awry as well. So it's all gone downhill again for Cardiff. And Stoke are not that much better off. 3 losses on the trot following 3 draws. So, as I say, after their solid set of results, beating Portsmouth 6-1, etc., etc., Cardiff had a good win against Portsmouth as well. Did they not recently at home? Really was a good win. But so these two sides feeling a bit sorry for themselves. I think Stoke might just edge it, but it really is a sort of a finger in the air, this one. But I'm going to give it to Stoke for home advantage and to stop their run of losses. Stoke City 2, Cardiff City 1. Then we have Swansea City against Sunderland. As I say, Sunderland rescued their unbeaten home record in the dying embers of the match against Bristol City and got a 1-1 draw. And Swansea had a decent win down at Plymouth. I say decent win down at Plymouth, having just sort of said Plymouth are in a bit of a mess. But only because Home Park has been, up to this last couple of weeks, a difficult place to get results, even given Plymouth's woes away. But Plymouth went down, well, they'll be disappointed that they'll see Swansea, you look at the table, think, right, Swansea, mid-table, we're decent at home maybe, that's a chance to get ourselves back on track, but they didn't. They went down 2-1, they were 2-0 down, so they weren't really ever in the game that much. So Swansea came away with the points. They're home to Sunderland. I can't see this one being split. I think it'll be a tough match either way. So I'm going to go Swansea City 1, Sunderland 1. So I've done a few draws this week. Oh, not that many, actually. Only 3 so far. But I'm going to add another one to that coming up. We have the Sunday games. 2 on Sunday this week. 1 at 2 o'clock, 1 at 3 o'clock. The 2 o'clock UK times, of course. The 2 o'clock match is the first game on Sunday is Watford against West Bromwich Albion. So a decent match, and Watford will be looking to leapfrog West Bromwich Albion if they were to beat them. That would be a fillip for them. I think this will be a real pretty dogged affair. Neither side, probably both, if they. It's one of these honesty games, isn't it? Where, if we can shake on a point at the 2 o'clock, we'll take it and go put our feet up for the next 2 hours. And I think it'll be a match showing that non-risk football, as I might call it. So I'm going to say it's going to be Watford 0, West Bromwich Albion 0 in that one. Watford, by the way, of course, had their away draw against Hull, which they were a bit lucky to get away with. And lastly, we have Norwich against Burnley. Burnley will be disappointed with another 0-0 draw that they chalked up. Yes, it's another nil, just the 7 goals conceded, but they're just not scoring enough to really put the pressure on the top 2 at the moment. They're there, they're only 3-4 points behind, but they're just not really that dynamism even is missing at the moment, I think, in some ways. But it's a sacrifice they're making because they're so good at the back. They just don't let goals in, or very, very rarely. 1 goal in the last 7, I think it is. Anyway, they're going into the match at Norwich. Norwich, who scored 10 goals in the last 2 home games. So they will want to get that form back, but I just, Burnley is a complete wall of cement in front of their goal. You just can't get through it. So they might pace it once, because I'm going to say another draw. So I've given 4 draws in the end. Norwich City won, Burnley won in that one. There are some very tight, close games, I think, on the cards this weekend. That's my call. We shall see what happens. So there we have it. Another round of games. I think we'll get all of them in this week, as in no postponements. So there we go. As we head towards the Christmas break, just one more weekend before we head into the Christmas holidays, etc. There are no midweek games next week. It's the number of cup matches, domestic cup matches. So that's it. Thank you for listening once again. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel as always, and spread the word. And I thank you for listening, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.